I told you the problem will never end.
Yes,
The
I
problem will
think
never end.
so.
It's you it seems to me obvious and clear that the problem will exist forever.
Yeah.
So that means thinking a lot about time and not making any quick decisions.
Yes.
Because suddenly time is my friend. And it will, yeah, when things are limited, they become more special. And so time is my friend because time has been limited. And what this means is that there's there's a little bit of space here to think about a lot of different things and not do things quickly, because haste makes waste. Doing things quickly leads to problems. Things have to be done with method, methodically, and carefully, and they have to be done in the right way. And so, you know what I say to people? I say to people, do what you want. Okay, that's what I say to people. Do what you want. Do what you want. Don't hurt anybody, but do what you want, but don't hurt anybody, right? Think about it like this. Everybody makes mistakes.
Yes.
Everybody makes mistakes. It's nobody escapes. Every teacher makes mistakes. Every driver makes mistakes. Every pilot makes mistakes. Every doctor makes mistakes. We all make mistakes. Yeah, every computer programmer makes mistakes, right? We all make mistakes. It's part of life. Now, some mistakes are bigger than other mistakes, right? So, but see, to you and me, it's a great mistake. To her, it is the best thing in the world. Yes. To her, it is the best thing in the world because it's narcissistic. It's narcissism. Narcissism. The basis of narcissism is when nobody can be happy because you are not happy. That's the basis of narcissism. Yeah. You can't let things be. You can't let things go. You seek to control everything. Now, to be honest, there are narcissistic parts of my personality. I come from a family of narcissists, and so I am aware of those habits. But I know it. Okay, I can when I do it, I know it, right? And I'm like, that's not good, right? So I'm very aware of it, and so at who are we? Who are we at the age of 35, right? Who are we? Who are we at the age of 35? What do we know? I mean, there's Well, okay, it's about intelligence and making mistakes. It's also about where you get your information from, right? Um, you, People need to understand the power of the media. The media is putting pressure on women
Mm-hmm.
to do everything and be everything,
Yeah.
except to be a woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you can be a man if you want, right? You can be a
Well,
successful, career-driven CEO of some big international company. You can, but you'll never see your children because
mm,
you'll be traveling all the time and you'll have to send them to some faraway school. Um, but then that's how the system works. We need to understand the system and how the system works, and the system pushes people to break up. The
mm,
the system weakens people. It doesn't make people
mm, mm-hmm.
confident and stronger. It makes them less secure, and these insecurities are food for the human ego, and the ego is a fire that burns everything. And the basic situation is that for some reason, something happened in her past to make her very unhappy when she was a child. And I have a theory, right? I have a theory.
Mm,
And the theory is the idea of patterns repeating themselves. Now, this sounds a little bit crazy when you're younger in life, but
mm,
as you get older, you
mm,
realize there's a lot of repetition, there's a lot of patterns in things. And there's a lot of old sayings like, if you want to know what a girl will be like in the future, look at her mother. Right? If you
mm-hmm.
want to know what a
Mm,
boy will be like in the future, look at his father.
mm-hmm.
Right? And there's a little bit of truth in that because
Mm-hmm.
of the personality transfer from adults to children when the children are very
Mm-hmm.
young.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm,
so, I mean, hopefully with education, with knowledge, with wisdom, we can have greater possibilities, but we still have the voice in our head
mm,
of the adults that were around us when we were children. And if you don't have a role model
mm-hmm.
for a positive roadmap forward, then you don't have anything. If you don't have a target, you don't have anything. And when Yanka was about 14 or 15, her parents split up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so what does this mean? Yanka does
Mm,
not have a mental map of a successful future relationship. Okay, now here's the
mm-hmm.
here's the Christian example, which is on a bigger picture, which is Jesus died at the age of 33.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
that means that the single most important character in Western Christian history
Mm-hmm.
did not become a man and a father and a husband. And this creates a massive problem for the psychological construct of the religion in people's heads because
Mm-hmm.
Jesus is the model, but he died at the age of 33.
Mm-hmm.
He did not marry, as far as
Mm-hmm.
we know, and he didn't have children. And so there's
Mm-hmm.
no model for the family in that
Yeah.
context. It's still a confusion and a
Mhm.
mystery. Um, so even those people who turn to religion to get their answers never get
Mhm.
all the answers, because even that
Mhm.
has its limitations. And of course, Christianity is based on older sun god religions as well, and that it's a lot more confusing and complicated
Uh,
than what I explained. But so the main idea is this idea of mental maps of what we can see. Now,
mm.
if you can't see it, it's not there for you. It's not there for you if you can't see it,
Yeah.
right? And if you have no experience of it, it also is not
Mm.
there for you. It does not exist, because if you don't speak Japanese because you don't hear Japanese. It like doesn't exist, so you don't know about it, right? So so if we don't have these uh, if we don't have these mental maps, there's nothing to hold on to except repetition, except repeating what we know. So Yanka is doing the same thing that her mother
Mm.
did.
Mhm. Mm.
Around about the same time,
Mm. Sure.
there is a psychological breakdown in the brain, and this is interesting because people wear masks, and it's very difficult to see the breakdown sometimes. People go to work every day and they do their work, and but maybe they're not
Yes.
feeling things. Now, if you are an intuitive person, you can see that somebody is not right and something's not right. But a lot of people carry everything inside, and
Mm.
so and of course with ego, we are never allowed to admit that we are wrong. We can't admit that we are wrong. We can't. Oh my God, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. And
Mm.
this was difficult for me to deal with in myself in my 30s. And I'm only, sometimes it takes to the age of 40. I don't know why, but in order to get some understanding of your past in some way, if it has been negative. And it's true for a lot of men that it's only after the age of 40 that you begin to actually understand who you are and what you can do, and what your place is
Mm.
in the world. It takes time. And
Mm.
so these these past patterns, these voices take us or tell us to live our lives in a certain way, to follow what we
Mm.
know, because here's my theoretical imagination, that there's a voice inside her head which is her mother's voice. And this voice says, do it, do it, do it, do it,
Okay.
do it,
Mhm.
because if you don't do it,
Mhm. What?
then I was wrong. Your mother, was
Mhm.
wrong.
Mm.
You see where the conflict is?
Okay. Yes. Mhm.
If she takes a different direction from her mother, then her
Mm.
mother is a failure. So in order to preserve the psychological relationship with her mother, she must follow the same patterns, because that is the best, that is the good in the scenario. Because if she goes in a different way, she will be forced to face the fact that her mother made a terrible decision, and as a result of that, her parents' relationship did not work. And so,
Mhm.
so there is, you see two things. Number one, we don't see the patterns, and number two, we definitely don't see the patterns in our own life. We need somebody else
Mhm.
to look
Mhm.
at our life.
Mhm.
You know, the engine doesn't know what's wrong with the engine. It needs the mechanic to stand back and
Mhm.
look at things, right? And so we can't see what the problem is because we're in the middle of the situation.
Mhm.
And what we do psychologically is we try to preserve, to keep the past as the best.
Yes, I understand.
Because if we begin to understand that the past was bad, then the result is massive conflict. And we don't want the conflict because there's no end to it.
Mhm.
There's two choices. You face the fear and the, the conflict and the past, and you deal with it, or you create the same tragedy again and again and again and again and again.
Mhm.
Which is the tragedy of human history. You know, where does socialism come from? Where does communism come from? Where does fascism come
Mhm.
from? The
Mhm.
fact,
Mhm.
the fact that people don't want to face the fact, to face the fear, to face the
Mhm.
challenge.
Mhm.
They, you know, we're all searching for peace, right? We all want peace, and this little voice says, just do this, just do this, just do this,
Yes.
and everything will be good, and I will be quiet, and I will stop talking.
Mhm.
But the voice continues and continues and continues because it feeds your ego, and your ego grows like a balloon, and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and we make it worse for ourselves because we refuse to accept that anything is happening.
Mhm. Mhm.
Everything is good, everything is great, this is the way that it must be.
Mhm.
And yet, we don't know exactly what the best thing is.
Mhm.
Everything is a trial, everything is a test, everything is an experiment. We don't really know. And I always come back to you think you know what's going to happen. But the truth is that nobody really knows. We all know something, but we don't know
Mhm.
everything,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? Because that's the nature of life. That's the nature of the world. That's the nature
Mhm.
of how things grow and develop. That's what makes us unique. That's what makes us us. Yeah, the fact that there's these things that we don't know about, and um, we it's what is a mistake? A mistake is anything that you do that you can correct, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
That's a mistake. Anything you do that you can correct and make okay or make better. So this situation is not a mistake. This is a huge explosion, right?
Ah, children. Children will suffer.
Yeah, very much. A lot of pain. Yes, I know. I know. It's going to be impossible for them. Yeah.
They need you both.
Yeah.
They love you, mother and father.
Like there's there are some crazy statistics that you know what abuse is. You know what abuse is. Abuse is when somebody is bad to somebody. It can be physical or mental or whatever, right?
Yes.
50% of children in single parent families are abused. 50%.
Oh.
In two parent families, it's about like this is like 1%, zero, right? 0, 1%, right? But in single parent families, 50% of the children get abused.
Ego, but
It's ego. Ego is when you try to tell everybody what is right for them. Look, I don't. I have ideas. I don't tell people what to do, but I can say to people, well, maybe this might work, this might work, this might work. You know, try it and we will see. But I don't force people to do things because force means pressure, and pressure is dangerous because who is putting the pressure on who and why, right? It's and where does the pressure get released, right? So in the kids, obviously. So I mean that's the danger.
Your children know what their mother wants to do.
Yes. It's difficult because they believe everything that they hear. They believe, yes, this is true, this is real, this is right, this is the only way. They believe it all. And there begins the mistake. There begins the problem.
Yes.
Because they believe something which is not true. It's not true simply because we don't know. We know what the averages are, but we can't predict everything. And in life, there is necessary risk and unnecessary risk. And the necessary risk we are aware of and we can control. The unnecessary risk is just stupid. Yeah. So, and after the age of 30, you should not be involved in unnecessary risk. This is an argument that after the age of 15, you should not be involved in unnecessary risk. But everybody's different, and risk is unavoidable at certain times. Look, I have studied education and parenting, and I know that the metrics, the statistics, whatever the statistics, the data is all bad. It's all bad for children. The school results are lower. Developmental problems occur. Psychological problems occur. Because the children believe very often that everything is true, that all the information they get is true. This is good for you, and this is good for you, and this is good for you. And it's adults make a lot of mistakes, sometimes more mistakes than children make.
Yeah.
There's no escape from it.
Mm.
And
Mm.
it's hard when you know they will believe everything.
Mm.
People will say, "Well, it must be like this," and the children are like, oh, "Okay, we'll do it. We trust you." But and then later they learn that not everything was was
Certainly.
was as it should be. So yeah, there's absolutely nothing good about the whole
No.
situation.
Mm.
Absolutely nothing good at all. There will now only be more conflict and more conflict and more conflict and more conflict. That's all there will be because the problem will not end. Therefore, there will always uh, it's like if you damage or injure your shoulder, then you feel it. You feel it for years, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Afterwards, if it's a
All life.
yeah, absolutely, and um, yeah, I was thinking this week about the nature of of small problems and big problems, and how everything is important, how everything matters. You must keep your small promises and you must keep your big promises. If you don't keep your small promises, you won't keep your big promises. But at the same time, if you don't keep the big promise, then small promises are also irrelevant. So it's hard to understand things. And there's
Can you do?
okay, number one, you need a strategy.
Mm-hmm.
You need a strategy. Now, strategy is now understanding that every step is important.
Yeah.
So make every step very slowly.
Yes.
Because
Be careful. Be careful.
yes, make every step very
Right.
slowly and very carefully. And you do this so that if you make a mistake, you can go back, right? You do this so that if you make a mistake, you can go back and you can solve it. Yeah, you don't try to solve all the world's problems in 2 seconds because it's not. Because problems lead to problems.
Yes.
They lead to more problems. They
Bigger
don't.
and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, exactly. So I understand what is coming. What is coming is bigger and bigger and bigger problems. So there's no need to run, to rush forward. There's no need to rush forward. Now is actually a very good time to stop things and to think about all the different possibilities of everything. And that is that that is my first strategy. No rush, no force. You can't force people to do
Yeah.
things, right?
Mm.
If somebody is not doing something wrong, then you can't force them to do anything, right? And why would you want to? Why would you want to force people to do things? No. Why speed? Why do some people want to move quickly? They're running away from something. What are they running away from? Okay, here's my theory. I ask X, what are you running away from? She said, I'm running away from you. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, you had 12 years to run away from me, right? So my theory is you're not running away from me because you had 12 years. You're running away from something else. An idea, a philosophy, a thought, a memory, a voice, a conscious force, a subconscious force, an unconscious force. That's because we are pushed and pulled in life, and this means that when we move, we're either moving away from something or moving to something.
Mm-hmm.
And this was my question to some of my clients years ago. I said, you want my help? I said, I can help you, but you must answer one question. Are you right now in your life moving away from something, like running away from something, or are you going to something? Is there some vision that you have?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because because from the outside it looks like we're moving, but that doesn't tell us if we're moving away from something or towards something. And both can be positive, but we must understand the difference between them. Yeah. Because if we're going away from something, it means our future is not clear.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And if we're going towards something, it means that something in our past has caused that to happen, and it's important to know what those causes are. Um, so there's there's conflict within the person's mind about what
Mm-hmm.
is the right thing to do. They want to make things, and what people who want to do things quickly want to do it a lot of the time so that other people don't see what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they want to do it quickly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's not good for anyone in the in the whole situation and the scenario. So I'm happy to work on the problems. I am working on the problems and I'm working on it every day. Um, hmm. But I will do it step by step. There's a lot of you must do this, but then you must do that, you must do this by Monday, and I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
You can't go around dictating to other people what they should do and how they should do it. Yeah. So Yeah, it will. So this my philosophy is just take the foot off the gas and get, you know, stay healthy, right? Stay healthy, stay focused. Because the voices in your head they'll mess you up, right? Is this good? Is that bad? Is this right? Is this wrong? I mean, you know, the logistics of everything is just crazy now. Everything that was easy before is now really difficult. So, yeah, we will see.
My question is, where is love? We all need love.
Do 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 do. All you need is love. Da, 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 da. All you need is love, love, love is all you need. Love is all you need. Oh yeah, yeah. What's this? Best? That's probably the best song ever written, ever. In my opinion, I think. Where is the love? Look, I've done a lot of presentations on the concept of love, and I have my own ideas about it. I think if you lose it, you never had it. Now it's a very brutal perspective, but that's what I see. If you lose it, you never had it because you never took care of it. You never cared about it very much. Because if you have it, you protect it because it's very important to have. So if, you know, there's a very old saying that true love never dies. So that if love dies, it's not true. If love dies, it's not true love. And I think that there's truth in that. That's the first point. The second point is the end is always visible at the beginning. The end is always visible at the beginning. And people will say, how can you know? But you don't know at the time, but looking back in hindsight, you begin to put all the pieces of the puzzle together. So yeah, the more I learned about her family and the mistakes that they made, the more I could see that she was doing the same thing. And a lot of us do that. A lot of us copy the patterns of our parents. We don't even know that we're doing it. Yeah. Like my father left New Zealand to come to work in Scotland. I left Britain to go to work in Slovakia. Yeah, it's a different country, different lifestyle. I mean, it's exactly the same thing that my father did. I never thought about it until I was about 40 years old, and I was like, oh shit, I did the same thing. I did exactly the same thing that he did. So we stay close to what we know. Very old saying, the apple always falls close to the tree. The apple always falls close to the tree.
I know this.
Yeah, yeah. So there's so that yeah, that's about the habits that we have. So if you look at these patterns, then you begin to understand what is happening and why it is happening
Mm-hmm.
and how it is happening. And then you try to look at what the problem is. You try to find the problem. But the problem is a historical problem. The problem is a historical problem. The problem is not the decision you have to make now, but all the decisions
Mm-hmm.
back throughout time. And it's hard to know what drives us, why we're doing something. That's why one of the best coaching questions is, what is your why? What motivates you? What is your why?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me why you are. Don't tell me what you're doing. We can all see what you are doing. Tell me why you are doing it. Tell me who you are doing it for. And that understanding that why is part of the answer to solving the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And this the answer to that puts people in conflict with their own history. For us to find a solution, she must say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. You see, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not happy to say it, but I can say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I can say that, right? And I can deal with it, and I can reason with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so therein is the problem, where if you don't admit you were wrong, then you're always going to have that problem. You have to be able to admit that you are wrong, and that is the beginning of the process of you have to be able to stop. You have to be able just to stop and look around and
Mm-hmm.
do things in the right way. Do things with love, like you say.
Mm-hmm.
You can separate with love. But what I'm saying is you can separate with respectful love, okay? Yeah, you can still love the other person and respect things, but there's a lot of hate right now.
Yeah.
And I would say
Mm-hmm.
not from me, okay? But
Mm-hmm. I understand.
there's a lot of, this is yours, bleh, and just sort of that, and okay, okay,
Hmm.
okay, this is
This is not okay.
yeah. Look, I had this conversation. I said you can be nice. You can still be nice. You don't have to be angry and aggressive. And she said, I'm not aggressive. I'm like, oh, oh, head
Mm-hmm.
massage, head massage. I'm like, okay, So 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 what you're telling me is I'm 45 years old and I don't know what aggressive is, right? Really? 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 I had 3 kids, I've got gray hair, I've had a lot of experience in life and I don't know what aggressive is. I wasn't aggressive, I was assertive. I'm like, no, 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 no. You can be assertive and polite and friendly and nice, right? but this is just pure aggression. So um, and it's just aggression, 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 aggression. So basically, she's on fire, running around, and I've got the water, and I don't think that there's not enough water in the universe to put out that fire. Yeah. Um, yeah, she will burn out. She will burn out if she's not careful. In terms of health, right? We all know that a lot of the physical comes from the psychological stress and pressure and things. And women whose bodies are 35, going through a lot of changes, uh, and you always have to be careful with that, right? You always have to be careful. You got to look after yourself. You have to eat well. You have to take exercise, and um, and you have to slow down, and you have to be able to have a rational conversation. So um, it's important to understand the past. It's important to understand the patterns. It's important to um, so yeah. There's a lot of it's there's a lot of support for women in her position, shall we say, right now. But there's no support for men in my position. So that's a very interesting dynamic, right? To think about in terms of how to organize things and how to do things and what is the right way. Um, you know, if you're sensible, you prepare for what is going to happen. Right? You don't just do something and then, oh, we will see. You know, we'll drop a nuclear bomb and we'll see what happens. Yay! Yeah, but it's like, but people live there, right? People live there. They have to live there. Yeah. Um, so the whole situation is stupid, and it's been created in a stupid way. It's been acted out in a stupid way. It's and I said this to Yanka. I said, look, it's just. I said it's not very intelligent way of solving this problem, right? I said to her, I think that you don't know what you're doing at all, and I think whoever is telling you that it's okay is wrong. I'm just telling you that now. It's just my opinion, right? I could be
Yeah.
like I could be wrong, but um, I don't know. It's just very weird. Like, how many months was she planning this?
What will be next week?
I know. I
Tomorrow.
think. Look, I know what will be. It will just get worse and worse and worse. And my job is to be cool, because it will just get worse. Everything will burn, and my job
Mm.
is to be water, right?
Mm.
My job is to be water and to to not to not get involved in the to stay out of the conflict as much as possible.
Mm.
But we will see how that works out. I don't know what the result of that is gonna be exactly.
Mm.
It makes things hard, like traveling. What about traveling and going places? I mean, that makes that impossible now.
Mm.
Before before it was not a problem to travel somewhere and
Yes.
go somewhere. Now it's a massive problem.
Yes. Yes.
So yep. People people get hurt if people are not careful, right?